I don't own sponges, and before you think I'm disgusting, let me explain why. Really quick, if you're new here, my name is Callie. I'm also known as That Practical Mom, and I share videos every week on YouTube about helping you simplify your life. And today I'm going to be sharing with you some simple swaps I've made in my life that have reduced a lot of clutter, a lot of mental load, and honestly saved me money. Let's do this. Okay, so first up, yes, I don't use sponges anymore. Sponges stay wet for way too long and they are too porous, meaning they are actually breeding grounds for germs. There was a study in 2017 done in Germany that found that sponges harbor more active bacteria than anywhere else in our home, including the insides of your toilets. Ew. On top of being breeding grounds for germs and bacteria, sponges break down fast and they have to be thrown out often. So instead, I have switched to using Squoy scrubs, which besides being adorable, like OMG, how cute are these? They dry quickly and they don't hold on to moisture like a sponge, making them much more hygienic. Not to mention they are washable. You can actually put them right in your dishwasher, making them reusable for way longer as well. So you need to buy less of them and store less of them, freeing up a lot of space in your area underneath your kitchen sink. The next swap I made was from a coffee machine that used pods. We were Nespresso users and we now have a sort of traditional coffee machine. For us, it came down to having to buy all of the pods and manage all of the pods and pay for all of the pods, which honestly are getting very expensive. We decided to switch to just a more traditional coffee machine that just used beans. This frees up a lot of storage space for us. We now just keep like 2 bags of beans near the coffee machine, takes up way less space, and it saves us loads of money. And honestly, I actually like the coffee better. Next, let's talk about cleaning supplies. This is a big line item when it comes to products that I have swapped to reduce clutter. So let's start with just specialty cleaning products. There are cleaning products for everything. There's specialty cleaners for granite and for laminate and for windows and for stainless steel. And there's a metal one and a plastic one and one for bathrooms and one for kitchens and one for bedrooms. And there's literally cleaners for every type of thing that you would need to clean. But the truth is, many specialty cleaners are redundant. Multi-purpose cleaners can handle most surfaces, everything from countertops to floors to appliances, very often being just as good and in some cases better than the specialty cleaning products are. And at the end of the day, I find that I just don't end up using them. A lot of them end up sitting in my cleaning cabinet unused because nobody can really in their mind keep up with all of these specialty products that they have. When it comes to cleaning, most of us just want to be able to grab something, clean up the mess and move on. And we don't have the time to go through our mental inventory of all of the specialty products that we have. There was actually a survey that was done in the UK recently that found that most Britons don't use 50% of the cleaning products that they have in their cabinets right now. It found something that annually on average people were spending $75 to $100 on cleaning products, and $30 to $50 of that was just sitting around unused in our cabinets. Now, most cleaning experts agree you actually only really need 4 core cleaning products. You need a laundry detergent, you need dishwashing detergent, you need a multi-purpose spray, and then you need a bathroom cleaner. And when bathroom cleaner, they don't mean just a multi-purpose cleaner for your bathroom, because again, that's one of those specialty products that doesn't really make sense. They mean specifically something just for lime scale buildup. Those 4 things will clean pretty much everything that you need to clean in your house, and you can get rid of all of the excess. Personally, I use a DIY cleaner that I make myself. It's a mixture of water and vinegar with some Dawn dish soap. I've also used concentrates. If you don't like cleaning with vinegar, you don't like the smell of vinegar or whatever, one of these tubs will make me 15 to 25 spray bottles worth of multi-purpose cleaner that I use everything from my floors to my countertops. And now, along with that, I've also removed a lot of the specialty cleaning tools. Again, there is a tool for everything, and a lot of them can be helpful. Electric scrubbers have been proven to clean quicker than a manual brush. A steam cleaner is a wonderful chemical-free way to kill bacteria and get rid of grime. And you have wet-dry vacs that can vacuum and mop at the same time, essentially saving you time. But what you need to think about is if the time and effort it takes to manage and care for these tools is worth the time that you save in using them. For example, I have used electric scrub brushers, and yes, they do clean things quicker and faster than if I were to manually scrub it with my hand. But considering I just have one average sized house to clean, I don't have the need for an electric scrubber that often. It's not like it's something I'm needing every day or even every week. And so having this specialty product that I maybe use once or twice a year, having to manage it, having to clean the brush heads, having to inventory it and remember where it is when I need to use it and charge it, just all the things that are required in order to have it kind of outweigh the benefit of using them the few times that I'm using them annually. Another example that I have mentioned many times is my wet dry vac. I have found that just sweeping and then mopping has actually been a lot quicker and faster for me, and as far as like mental load and energy, than having to use my wet dry vac, which I had to make sure that every time I was done using it, I was emptying it, I was cleaning it, I was leaving it out to dry so it didn't develop any mold or any whatever. Like the actual time and energy it took to manage the wet dry vac was actually not balancing out how much time it saved me in the fact that it vacuumed and mopped at the same time. Let's talk about wool dryer balls. I feel like in the many years that I've been creating cleaning and organization content, I've seen wool dryer balls thrown around a lot. And I gotta be honest, I had no idea what they were used for. Finally, I was like, all right, let me look into these wool dryer balls and see what's going on. Turns out they're amazing. I thought that they just reduced static clean, but it turns out the dryer balls will help to dry the clothes in your dryer between 10 to 25% faster. They also naturally soften your clothes. And unlike dryer sheets, you can use them over and over and over again. They can be used hundreds, even thousands of times before you need to replace them.
Also, are these not the cutest wool dryer balls you have ever seen in your entire life? I know.
Okay, let's move on to the closet for some swaps. I'm not minimal when it comes to my closet by any means. I like to have color and I like to have some fun in my closet. I don't have like some really specific capsule wardrobe, but I have removed a lot of the fluff. When it comes to accessories, I really stick with the timeless pieces. So instead of getting trendy with things like shoes and jewelry, I feel like especially with shoes are so bulky, and having every trendy shoe and every kind of shoe that comes out, that is a lot to store. So I have minimized my shoe collection down to really just kind of the tried and trues. I have a couple staple sandals, a couple staple heels, a couple staple boots, and I'm able to sort of swap those in and out. I've done the same with pants. I feel like pants are one of those things that I just don't have time for, like not good pants in my life anymore. Like I have had 4 children and I'm chasing after them all day while like taking care of the house and working a job, and I just don't want to wear mediocre pants. And so instead of having like a ton of different pants to choose from, I literally have like 3 or 4 jeans I really love, like 2 or 3 pairs of leggings I really love. And on that topic, I in general am just really good about swapping out clothes in my wardrobe that I'm just no longer wearing. My life has changed so much in the last 5 years, from like becoming a mom and then becoming a mom again and again and again. You know, I went from somebody who was going into an office to work to somebody who now works from home. And so my wardrobe needs have changed a lot in the last 4 years. And so I really just sort of try to remove the stuff from my closet that just doesn't make sense anymore, that I'm just not wearing. My favorite hack here is when I hang stuff up. I do have a closet where I hang stuff. When I do like a purge, which I usually do maybe twice a year, I will hang everything back up with my hangers facing backwards. And this in a couple of months will give me just a really quick glance at what I didn't wear. For example, I just switched out all of my summer stuff for my winter stuff. And so I was able to take a look at the few things that still had hangers backwards that I didn't wear all summer, that were like my summer items, and say, okay, I didn't wear these all summer. Do they need to be in here anymore? These are clothes that I am just not wearing. Moving on to the kitchen, I pretty much only use really 2 pans when I cook. I essentially have my cast iron and then I have my Dutch oven. I use my Dutch oven for everything from boiling pasta to make my kids macaroni and cheese, to making stews, to baking bread in it. And then I have my cast iron pan, which I do everything. When I'm sauteing up vegetables, I'm cooking eggs, I'm making pancakes, I'm doing whatever. It's kind of my go-to for that. I do have an Our Place pan that I use as like my go-to non-stick, but I have found between the cast iron and the Dutch oven, I can do the majority of the cooking that I need to do for my house. Unless I'm cooking for like a big group or we're hosting dinner, and then in which case I will pull out maybe one of my bigger roasting pans that I keep down in the basement. By swapping out like 10 different sized frying pans and boiling pots and whatever, I kind of just stick to these 2 and they do double duty for me. I have been working really hard to swap a lot of my kids' toys out for open-ended toys. There's so many toys out there. I was just chatting with another mom about this. I heard some stat recently, like inflation has made the cost of basically everything in our life increase except for toys. It's like this one thing where like a certain toy that costs $10 now cost $10 20 years ago too. So the fact that the cost of toys is essentially like decreasing, and the accessibility we have to them, the fact that you can buy them so easily and literally everywhere, a lot of parents are feeling overwhelmed by how many toys they are. And then moms kind of feel this guilt, like we need to have, you know, the doctor set and the grocery play set, and we need to have like the veterinary set, and we need to have the whatever. We're so inundated with all of these different toys and the sort of feeling that we need to have all of these different toys for our kids. They need to have a train set and an easel and all these things. With 4 kids, I just can't manage all of those, and my kids can't manage them. They don't want to go into a playroom that has just endless choices because that's way too overwhelming. So I've gotten really good about trying to sort of swap out some of our more specific toys for open-ended ones. A really good example is when I only had 2 kids, we had like a play kitchen, and we had, you know, the little play fruits and vegetables and the little play knives and the little play pots and pans. I don't have them anymore, and my kids still play restaurant, and they still play like tea time and dinner and all of those things. They just are creative with what they use. So here's a really perfect example. My kids don't have like a little playhouse or a tent, but let me show you where my son is reading his books. Are you reading books inside of a box? You're gonna close the door here. Bye-bye, Tate. Bye-bye, close the door. And so I have found that by removing a lot of the sort of like one-use toys, my kids are still playing just as much as they were, but I don't have all these 8 million extra toys to manage. And this has been a really huge eye-opening learning experience for me in the last kind of 2 years as I added my last 2 children, realizing that removing these toys wasn't making my kids play any less, and they weren't getting any less quality of play. If in any way they actually were playing more, and I was way happier because I wasn't managing so many toys. My final swap is more of a mindset swap, but it is swapping my mindset of want and need. Most of what we think we need is just want dressed up with urgency, like clothes. We might not have the perfect outfit for an event, and so we think that we need to go out and buy that outfit, but the truth is we probably have something in our closet that would work. We convince ourselves that we need certain things when often we already have those things available to us in our home if we just sort of take a step back and be like, is this actually a need or is this really a want? And I think it's just about being really aware. It is hard for us, all of us right now. We live in a day and age where we are constantly marketed to and advertised to, and not just marketed to, but like very directly marketed to, where you are on lists and they know exactly your shopping habits and what you like. When I think something is a need, being like, is this actually a need? Because most of the time it's not. There are really only so many needs as a human we need, right? Like food and medicine and shelter. Coffee, obviously. And I constantly am just reminding myself that a lot of these extra things that I think I need end up coming into my home and cluttering my home and then creating a ton of extra work for me. And so I always come back to the analogy I've shared with you guys in the past that I look at my stuff like an employee. When you have an employee, you pay that employee a certain amount of money and you expect to get that worth back in the work that they are providing for you. If you're paying an employee a certain amount of money and they are not giving you that work back, then you sort of have a disconnect, and your stuff is like that, except you pay your stuff in time. You need the time that you spend to manage an inventory and care for your stuff to be worth it in what you get for that product. I often share with you guys my coffee machine. It takes up a hefty little spot on my counter, yes, but I use my coffee machine multiple times a day, as does my husband, as does other people who come into our home between babysitters and grandparents and families and whatever. The value I get out of that product is worth the time investment I give into it. So that does it. Some simple swaps that I have made in my life that have just reduced clutter and mental overwhelm for me. I would love to know if you have any additional ones that you would like to add to the comments down below. I love when we can sort of share in the comments and like it becomes this thread of like, I sort of start off with my ideas and then you guys can go in there with all of your ideas and we just get like a ton more insight to bring to the conversation, because I like to think of this as sort of I chat to you, but then I like to think that we're chatting back and forth. Does that make sense? I don't know. It is the end of the day. It's late for me. My brain kind of dwindles. I don't usually film late in the day. I even got this, somebody left this at my house. I don't know who. It's a ready to drink latte. I don't know. I don't usually drink these. I had a few sips. I thought it would help. I don't know that it did. Anyways, alas, we are at the end of the video, and it is where I tell you that you need to be kind to yourself and to others, and I will see you all in my next video.